1000万 MLB 翻訳侍選手チャンネルへようこそ。ある選手の多彩な能力とチームへの貢献について注目が集まっています。複数のポジションをこなす柔軟性がどのようにチームに影響を与えているのか、その詳細をこれからご紹介していきます。ご感想などありましたらぜひコメント欄までお願いします。この動画が面白いと思っていただけましたらチャンネル登録と高評価をしていただけると嬉しいです。それではご覧ください。
By Capital One, and Mookie kind enough to join us live on MLB Tonight. Mookie, congratulations when you got the call. It's a big deal. Sitting next to somebody that's won this award before, and Harold Reynolds. This is completely prestigious. And to get the call to say you were one of the 30 nominees, what did that mean to you?
It meant a lot. It really meant a lot. I mean, a lot of things I do are really kind of behind closed doors. I don't really do it for media. I just kind of do it from the goodness of my heart. And so sometimes when you're doing things like that, other people nowadays especially, it gets on camera somewhere. And so it's just good to be recognized, but I don't have to be.
Hey Mook, we talked about so many community involvements. I get to vote on the Clemente Award since I won, and I always look at time given. I don't care about the money donated, things like that, but it's the time that that player puts in the community, and I see you doing that constantly. So here's my question. The pandemic kind of kicked in everybody's awareness. I don't know if you weren't on this planet, if you weren't paying attention to that people were hurting. So as I look at that and I look at you feeding LA, did that kind of ramp that up after the pandemic a little bit?
I would say, yeah. I mean, during the pandemic, I was just new to LA, so it was really, it kind of worked out, and it was my way to kind of embed myself into the city. It's, kind of God's plan of, I guess it kind of seems like it. I mean, it was just kind of weird how it kind of played out, but, I loved it. I loved that I was able to kind of ease my way into the city with not a lot of people and kind of slowly but surely grow within the city of LA.
Mook, CY here, man. First of all, congratulations on your first nomination. It's so good to see how much you've been able to mature and develop over the years and really become a leader, not only on the field, but also in your community. Let me talk about you and Brianna, your beautiful wife. How are you able to come up with that calling? How are you able to find what cause really hits closest to home for you guys?
That's a great question. There's not just one specific thing that kind of hits home for us. I feel like we want to help with medical bills and then school and, financial literacy. Like I said, food. There's so many different things that we care about as a family that we instill in our kids that we feel like all kids should know. And so there's, like I said, the 4 pillars: the nutrition, financial literacy, the well-being, and I can't even think of. I'll put me on the spot. But anyways, that's just the things that we try and instill in all kids. We feel like those are things that are essential for life, and so it's not just one thing. We try and cover a lot of bases.
And I'm glad that CY brought up your wife, Brianna. There are so many of you players that have these great philanthropic endeavors, and it's the wife, it's the partner next to you who's doing the work behind the scenes that so many people don't recognize. How important was she to making your 50/50 foundation as big as it's become?
She's huge. She's huge. I mean, she's really the reason why it is where it is now. I'm out here trying to do my work, and she does a lot of all the calls and all the meetups and all this type of things. She sets up all those things, and so that you're only as good as your partner. And my wife is amazing, so I feel like that she makes me look good.
Mook, it's interesting where we talk about feeding and mental health and all the other things, but financial literacy is not something that people talk about a lot. And we've talked on this subject. You talked about your wife and how solid she's been with this, but your parents, your mom, and particularly your dad, guided you a lot in this. Touch a little bit on financial literacy and why that's so important, and particularly in the lower income communities.
Yeah, I mean, just simply making budgets. I mean, simply saving. People don't really know how to do these type of things, and my dad had me doing that. My freshman year in high school, he gave me a card and was giving me money periodically and saying, I guess every time I did good in a game or something, he would give me a little money or whatever. And so it was, I could go spend it on shoes, or I could save it and buy something that I really wanted. And he really kind of explained to me, saving, you can get something big later, or you can do whatever it is later, save for the rainy day, things like that, that people don't really, you don't really know. You get caught up in wanting to buy the nice cars, buy the nice houses, buy all these things, when really you can just live moderately and have a lot of money in the bank account to be able to do whatever you want to do.
Mook, one thing I love about you so much, man, you really find a way to relate to the fans. You really find a way to humanize yourself, and that's something that you've always had in you ever since you were a young player. Can you pinpoint a point in your career to where you knew you were comfortable putting yourself out there a little more for everybody to get to know you a little bit?
I don't know if I have a specific time. I mean, maybe in the All-Star game here in LA, actually, which is, I was like 8 or 9 years in. I don't see myself like that, man. I see myself as a regular dude. I put on my clothes the same way. It's just God blessed me with this superpower, and I try and use it to affect other people. But I really am just a normal guy, and knowing that I have the platform now, I try and use it for all positive things and to help give back to the community. But other than that, man, I go and eat at the same places everyone else does.
All right, Mook, we're not going to keep you much longer. I got something, and Greg's got something. So talking about superpowers, I said this at trade deadline because you can play second, short, right, everywhere. It allows the Dodgers so much flexibility, and even center. You played there in the past. But I remember sitting with you, Shohei, and Freddie in spring training. Remember this? And we said,
oh, yeah.
Who's going to lead in all these categories? And you kept saying, Ohtani. So now that you've seen him, and you played with him now for 6-7 months or so, I want to hear what you got to say about Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah. What's crazy is CY had left us. CY, I don't remember what year he left us. I want to say it was like 17.
Mm-hmm.
And we came to Anaheim, and Show was new. And, we talked to CY, and CY was like, man, he's the real deal. Like, from the other side, we're like, I mean, yeah, he's good, but is he really that good? And CY was like, man, he is the real deal. And, like, getting to see him each and every day, like, CY was right, man, he is the real deal. I mean, every day, he shows up, he gets his work in, and I haven't got to see him pitch yet, so I'll be on the same side, so I'm really, that's going to be a national holiday when he does get to pitch. But anyways, just getting to see him hit, he is the real, there's
What's
no
he
holes.
do that's so different than everybody else?
Nothing. He's just better than everybody else. That's the thing. I pride myself in working hard. Like, I work hard, and he doesn't break a sweat, and he's better than me. Like, head over heels better than me. So, it's just sometimes you're just blessed, and that man is blessed for sure.
Well, listen, we are blessed to have you as a guest. You're always one of our favorite guests, but you're also becoming a media powerhouse in your own right. You've got a podcast that is must-see TV. You get guys to just relax, and you sit on the couch, you chat with them. We're looking at all of these guests you've had on Base with Mookie Betts, and it's so fun to watch. Of all the guests you've had, who's been the most interesting? Was there ever a moment you're like, holy smokes, I didn't know that? Did you have a moment with any of these guys where you're like, now that is good TV? That's a Greg line, by the way. That is good TV.
You know what? I would say probably the most interesting person I've done so far is probably Zach Gallen with the Diamondbacks. And because he has this presence on the mound, you don't really know whether to like him or not. Like, you don't know, because he's got the straight face, doesn't show a whole lot of emotion and whatnot, unless it's a big spot. But then you get to know him, man. He's awesome, dude. He loves Jays, and he loves just outdoor. He just is a super dope dude, and he's really interesting because he's really complex. And so he's probably one of the ones that I had the most fun with. But obviously everyone on there, it's getting to know everyone is amazing, and you get this brotherhood that you create playing this game that they're going to last a lifetime. And I feel like each and every person I've sat down with, I'll be able to here in 20, 30 years when we're coming back to games, just watching games, I'll be able to say, those are my boys, and we'll be able to dap up.
And that's what I love so much about the show. It's just players talking to players, and you really get that clubhouse feel of creating those relationships with each other and telling those stories. But I'm just going to finish it off with baseball, man. You've played in some big market cities, played in Boston with big expectations, now playing here in LA as one of the veterans with big expectations. How can you compare the two sides as far as being the young player that's expecting to win the World Series and being the veteran guy that everybody's expecting to win the World Series?
You know, it's tough to say. I mean, it's obviously a blessing to have that pressure because that's what you play for, to win. But, you know, J. Cole has that song called Middle Child, and I feel like that's me. You know, I was the young guy, but I'm not the old guy yet. I'm right in the middle, and so I'm trying to lose the expectations of the young guy and kind of gaining the expectations of the veteran. And so I don't know where I'm at yet, but I do know there's a lot of expectations, and that's a blessing to have. And, you know, that's why we play the game to win. And, you know, we'll see how things shake out.
What a year for Mookie Betts, the Dodgers nominee for the 2024 Roberto Clemente Award presented by Capital One. Congratulations once again. We really appreciate your time, Mookie. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. See y'all later.
今回の動画はいかがでしたか？ぜひご意見ご感想をコメント欄までお願いいたします。このチャンネルでは日本人メジャーリーガーの最新情報など海外の番組の翻訳をお届けしています。面白いと思っていただけましたら、よかったら高評価とチャンネル登録をお願いします。どんな情報をお届けしたら喜んでいただけるか、ぜひお聞かせください。それではまた次回の動画でお会いいたしましょう。